All three of these headphone systems are doing something a little different. They're all built for someone who cares about getting more out of a quality pair of headphones, but they are not just three versions of the same idea. The iFi is the simple, streaming-friendly way in. The Luxsin is where the system starts adapting to your headphones, and the TEAC is where your headphone setup starts to feel like a serious hi-fi component. Scotty G here with ListenUp, and today we're looking at three ways to build around a headphone like the Meze 105 AER. The big thing to remember is that the headphone is only part of the system. The DAC, the amp, the connection options, and even the way the unit handles different headphones can change how easy the system is to use and how far you can grow with it. Let us start with the setup for someone who wants the system to feel simple from day one. The Zen Blue 3 gives you Bluetooth 5.4 with support for formats like aptX lossless, LDAC, LHDC, HWA, aptX adaptive, AAC, and SBC. So if you're a person who wants to walk in, connect a phone, and start listening without building a big stack of gear, this makes a lot of sense. Then the ZenCan 3 gives you the actual headphone drive. You have a 4.4 millimeter balanced headphone output and a 6.5 millimeter single-ended output, so it covers the common cable setups people are using with higher performance headphones. This is the kind of setup I would point to if you want the system to stay simple. You still get a dedicated headphone amp, you still get a compact hi-fi footprint, but you're not asking someone to manage a complicated rack of equipment. The reason to move beyond this is not that iFi is missing the point. It is doing this simple thing really well. The next question is what happens when you want the system to understand your headphones a little more specifically, instead of just giving them a clean source and plenty of drive. This is where the Luxsin X9 comes in, listed on listenup.com at $10.99. This is where the system starts to feel less like a basic source and amp setup and more like a headphone control center. The feature that really separates the Luxsin is HPEQ. It is a large headphone profile database, and the idea is that the unit can apply headphone-specific correction instead of treating every headphone the exact same way. It also has an impedance detection and gain recommendation, which is useful if you switch between different headphones. A sensitive headphone, a dynamic open back, and a pair of planar magnetic headphones can all want different things from an amplifier. The X9 is built to make those changes feel more controlled and repeatable. You also get digital crossfeed and adjustable soundstage controls. Some people love the hard left-right separation the headphones can give you. Other people want something that feels a little more like listening to speakers in a room. Luxsin gives you more control over that experience. So the iFi is the clean starting point. The Luxsin is for someone who is starting to collect headphones, compare headphones, or really dial in how each pair behaves. From there, the next move is less about adding more controls and more about building around a component that can anchor a serious headphone and hi-fi system. That brings us to the TEAC HA-507. This is a different kind of product. With the TEAC, the story is not just more menus and more tuning options. The story is architecture. The HA-507 is a pure analog headphone amplifier and preamplifier. So it's not just trying to be the DAC in the system. It is built for the listener who already has or plans to add a serious source and wants the analog section to feel like a real hi-fi component. You have fully balanced dual mono class AB headphone amplifier, high, mid, low gain, and TEAC specifies up to 6,700 milliwatts per channel from the balanced headphone amplifier outputs into a 32 ohm load. The last part matters because this is not just a desktop headphone box. It is an analog preamp that can sit at the center of a more serious system. You have two XLR inputs, two RC inputs, balanced and unbalanced preamp outputs, pass-through for the system integration, multiple headphone outputs, and the 12-volt trigger connections. This is the one I would look at if the headphone setup is becoming part of a larger hi-fi system. Maybe you're listening at a desk, but you also care about preamp quality. Maybe you want a component that feels at home next to other Sirius 2-channel gear. This is where the TEAC starts making sense. So on paper, there are three very different approaches. The iFi keeps the system compact and approachable. The Luxsin gives you more headphone-specific control, and the TEAC is built to live deeper inside the full hi-fi system. But specs only tell part of the story. So we also want to hear what someone notices when they sit down and listen. Now we're going to bring in Derek. He's an assistant brand manager here at ListenUp and has never heard these amps before. Derek is going to hear 3 tracks through the Meze 105 AERs on all 3 systems. The goal is not to turn this into a technical test. I want to know what someone notices right away when they are not living in audio spaces every day. We'll keep the listening comparison simple, same headphone, same general listening position, and a few short passes with the 3 tracks we have picked out. You ready, Derek?
I'm ready, Sky.
Awesome. What was the first difference you noticed between all 3 amps?
The first difference I noticed was the space and detail. Space meaning the depth, height, and the soundstage between all 3 amps.
Were any of the differences obvious right away, or did they take a few seconds to notice?
There are definitely differences I noticed right away, and some that took a few seconds of listening to the track to hear. In Fame, the reverb, I could really tell a difference between amps 2 and 3. On Electric, I could really tell there was a bass difference between amps 1, 2, and 3. What took a second was hearing the depth between amps 1, 2, and 3.
Which one felt easiest to listen to?
I think amp 1 felt the easiest to listen to, but amp 2 was the most detailed, and amp 3 was definitely good, but I feel like it was missing that detail that amps 1 and 2 had.
Which one would you choose for your setup?
For detailed listening in my hi-fi setup, I would definitely choose amp 2, but for a desktop setup where I'm working, I want to listen to music but still have that clean, detailed sound, I would choose 1 or 3.
So the quick version is this. If you want the cleanest way into a streaming-friendly headphone setup, start with the iFi. If you own multiple headphones or you want the system to help with matching, gain, EQ, and presentation, step into the Luxsin. And if you want your headphone system to become part of a more serious hi-fi setup, the TEAC is the system anchor. None of these is automatically the right answer for every listener. It depends on the headphone, the room, the source, and how much control you want over the system. You can find all 3 of these at ListenUp.com. If you want help choosing the right match for your headphones, contact the ListenUp location closest to you and speak with one of our ListenUp specialists. Even better, bring in your own headphones or tell us what you're listening with, and we can help you build the system around the way you actually listen. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe because we got more exciting content coming your way.